I just read the lesson in A Course in Miracles, that's 197, and it is all about how everything we give, say, think, speak to another is a gift to ourselves. And if we ever feel that something hasn't been given back to us or dishonored about the way people have received those gifts or messages, it is because we haven't given that to ourselves. And then I pulled a card from this beautiful deck that I have from Rebecca Campbell, and it was the Wild Rose. And one of the messages in there is what makes you wild makes you free and frees others. So how does this connect to the word self? Your self, with a capital S, according to A Course in Miracles, is your holy self, your divine self, the limitless self, the holy, beautiful, loving, gentle, free self that you are already. And it is these constraints that we put on ourselves, it's these judgments that we put on our behavior that are actually wounds that we give to ourselves. And the reason I'm recording this sweaty, just jumped off my bike. I went to go for a walk this morning and my left knee is swollen, and I'm not going to put myself in suffering. I'm going to let myself exercise on the bike because my knee hurts when I walk. Even though I have these thoughts, I should be outside, I should be doing different exercise, blah, blah, blah. I'm giving myself the gift of low impact bicycle ride, not putting on any makeup for these videos, just getting it done to share with you, because everything I give to another is a gift to myself, and I want to liberate you as I liberate myself. It's about freedom for me. What makes you free? What makes you wild? What makes you free? That is a gift to the world. Back to the word self. Your self, capital S, your holy self, not the small self, the personality, the ego, the constrained, conditioned, programmed self. Your holy, divine, loving self knows what to do. Always. And knows what is right and wrong. When you feel pain emotionally, I was just sharing this with a friend. I was recalling when I got rejected for a grant that I applied for 9 years ago to access my late father's records in the State Library. And it was this pain and the wound of rejection. And I felt like the world cannot see the worthiness of this project. I think that's where it came from. It's now completely been negated because I've published a book about his material. I've done the work. But the pain that I tapped into this morning because of a dream I had when I got that one-line rejection for a fellowship, I think the application took me 2 months, and many, many letters that I asked people to write in support. And it was for $15,000 and 6 months access to these manuscripts. And the pain and the wound of that rejection showed up in my emotional self. And I was in the middle of a day at work. I saw the email come through on my iPhone, and it was like someone had punched me in the guts. I couldn't speak. I remember I couldn't focus. I had to leave work. I mumbled something to my colleague that I'd had some bad personal news, which was true. And I walked home. I couldn't even figure out where the tram stop was. I was in such an emotional feeling point of suffering that I couldn't grasp the here and now. And that was helpful. I needed to feel that pain because that showed me where my life was in discordance with what my instinct and my intuition and my higher self knew to be true. Your higher self always knows what to do. Okay, you don't need someone else. You don't need me to tell you what to do or feel or say. This is the gift of being human. This is the originality and the uniqueness in yourself. And your holy, loving, divine self comes through in your feelings and emotions. They are quantum. I was talking about analog versus digital last week. Analog is linear. It is very time-centric, sequential and chronological, but the quantum, and I do believe that feeling and emotions are quantum because they are where time just disappears when you are feeling something deeply, We all know that memories, if something triggers a memory, whether it's a scent or a dream or something you see on television or someone says to you or triggers an emotion, it's like time disappears. And that is a clue to what brings us up into our quantum and our higher selves, is feeling the feelings, feeling the emotions, articulating where and what is that suffering in you and what you'd prefer instead. And that is your higher self trying to talk to you. For me, my higher self talks through my emotions and my feelings. And I think it does for most people. But we are conditioned by the world to block our feelings, to block our emotions, and to block our instincts. This is why creative people, artists, writers, and even psychics, anyone who works in that invisible to the real world, preachers and spiritual instructors who go off on a mountain and meditate, that is not seen as valuable work by the world, but that is quantum work. Creative work is quantum work, I believe. And I think that at this time in 2025, we are moving into an understanding and an appreciation in a whole new way of how valuable that work is and how misaligned and how false this idea of, trading time for money struggle, and how necessary that has been, and causing pain and right and wrong and lording it over each other and I'm better than you and competing. It's just like how to make your life miserable. Yourself knows what is true, and yourself will lead you to what is fulfilling and loving and good for the world. And I do believe that's why that memory came to me of when I really, really struggled and suffered from one message of rejection for that fellowship grant, because I was not giving myself that worthiness and that gift. And that's a lesson in the Course in Miracles. If you have the Course in Miracles workbook for teachers and students, it's lesson 197, and it's all about everything comes back to the self. Everything I share, speak, write, feel, think is a note to myself and a note from myself. Thank you for listening, and I hope this has been helpful.